It's a live draft week edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our amazing partners in Possible here at KC Sports Network. I am beyond excited to be getting into some draft talk with my dear friend Matt Lane. Maddie, we're going to be hanging out here in like less than 72 hours. We're going to be together.
Yeah, that is it's right around the corner. I mean, it's draft week. Things are happening. I'm about ready to, a couple days away from being back in Kansas City. We'll be together again, watching the draft. Hopefully I don't have to leave early this year. That would be good for everybody involved. So yeah, it's good. I'm excited for it. So yeah, I can't. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I was able to get a little golf in today. Just had a little time. Got to hang with the family a little bit today. Like just
Did you recover from WrestleMania?
I knew he was gonna ask this. Yes, I did recover from WrestleMania. I'm still coping with Cody's loss. But my wife watched it with me. She's just roasting. She's just roasting Cody Rhodes the whole time.
I'm glad that your wife has the exact same thoughts as the entire group chat.
Yeah, the entire group chat, and not mostly you.
No, the entire group chat. It's the entire group chat.
I don't know about all of that, but no, it's we had a good time, and yeah, we had a good day today. I'm enjoying myself. Maddie and I are going to be together all weekend, and we're so excited. We're going to be hanging out at Holiday Distillery, doing a live draft show for every single pick of the 2025 NFL draft. If you want Chiefs-specific coverage for the entirety of the draft, you want every pick to tie back to the Chiefs somehow, or most of them, come hang out with us. We're going to be breaking it down through the lens of the Kansas City Chiefs. We have all kinds of takes on all these players, and we're really excited to be breaking the entirety of the draft down. Come hang out with us. During the entirety of the draft, we'll be raising money for the Therese Paylor benefit raffle. It's a new initiative that we are supporting this year because the scholarship programs at Howard and Power Mizzou are funded well, and they're doing great. I think they're endowments now, which is tremendous. Which means that will last for, the Therese's legacy is cemented at both of those institutions. And so now we're focusing to try to do something else different. The All Juice Draft Workshop. It's something that we're doing in memory of Therese Paylor. We're going to help young journalists get to events that are going to allow them to kind of learn the ropes, get connected, get networked with the right people. It's going to be a lot of fun to help them out. And so you can support that. One ticket for $10, 10 tickets for $50, and you are entered into a raffle to win all kinds of tremendous prizes, all kinds of signed memorabilia. You can go to givebutter.com/KCSN draft. The link will be in the description of the show, or you can Venmo KC Sports Network and help us raise money to support some young journalists in the memory of Therese Paylor, something that he absolutely would love. So yeah, there's your opportunity to jump in and kind of help and do something pretty cool. So today we are going to do, this is something we normally do during the first, during draft week. We're going to do a round one mock. We're just going to look at the entirety of the first round and kind of give our predictions based on what we kind of think is going to happen on Thursday night of the draft. Kind of go through the scenarios and see what happens for the Kansas City Chiefs. Very curious to see where things land for us. I think you started to see some of the buzz today, right? Like with some of the names that are, getting some steam and moving forward. And I'm sure we'll kind of work our way through some of that as this goes off. But we'll see where it lands. Actually, I was going to ask you something off the top because I do think that there's been a lot more news about one player in particular, but we'll see where he lands later in this mock draft. I have a feeling that one of the pet players for Chiefs fans probably is not going to be on the board for the Chiefs as we go through this exercise, but we'll find out. We'll see where it lands. Let's go ahead and jump in here though, Matthew. Let's take a look at this. We are doing a full round mock.
Yeah, save time where we can. Just rip the top, and then we can.
Yep, we definitely will. So I'm sure there's some stuff that'll weave in here, but let's just start off the top at pick number 1, Tennessee Titans, Cameron Ward. I think that is stone, right? Like we feel pretty good about cementing that. We're not going to make any arguments about that pick, right?
Correct. That is Cam Ward. It's locked in. I think the first 3 picks I think are locked in. So.
Well, I think the 3 picks are locked, but I think there is a little bit of argument to be made about what the order is going to be for Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. Travis, the cornerback from Colorado, Abdul Carter, the edge out of Penn State. I've heard it both ways. I've seen it both ways as far as like who winds up there. Maddie, who do you think you're leaning here at pick 2? You think it's Travis Hunter all the way?
Oh yeah, I think it's Travis Hunter. I think it's all, if you look at like betting markets and you kind of pay attention to the way the narrative has kind of shifted from like the big media folks, it seems pretty clear to me it's going to be Travis Hunter. And I like that. I like that Cleveland is one of the few teams that have had people come out that is going to be like, hey, he's a wide receiver. And if we want him to play part-time, it's going to be part-time at cornerback because we think that's kind of doable. And I agree. I think everybody wants to put him at corner because it's easier, quote unquote, to play wide receiver part-time. I don't know. I think it's probably easier to just go out there on third downs with a very limited coverage sheet and just say, hey, we're going to play man-to-man or we're going to play cover 2 on this play and just put a guy on the outside at corner and let him go. So I like the fit because I think that Hunter has probably a easier transition to being a star at wide receiver than at cornerback. So I kind of like the fit for him in Cleveland as well.
All right, so we're gonna give Travis Hunter number 2 to the Cleveland Browns and move on, and I think that puts Abdul Carter as the 3rd pick in the draft to the New York Giants. Any qualms there? I feel like the top 3 are about settled.
I feel pretty good that that's the way it's going to go. I just have a question. Would you, if you're the Giants, how much would you want back in a trade to move out of this spot? I feel like there's 2 guys, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, seen as like the top guys, the 2 blue chips. If you have your shot at one of those 2 right here, and it's Abdul Carter, not Travis Hunter, and I think that they would prefer Hunter as well, would you trade out of this spot, or what kind of haul would you be looking for?
That's tough. I think it just
or you just take the blue chip.
I think you probably just take the blue chip. It just depends on what you're trying to do at the quarterback spot too. Like if the intent is like, hey, let's trade out of this blue chip because we know we're going to draft Shedeur Sanders and we're going to start our draft with Shedeur Sanders, but we're just going to try to accumulate assets out of that. Like that would be at least an intriguing approach. But I think just take the blue chip, especially as we're going through this scenario. We're gonna give Abdul Carter to the New York Giants. All right, New England Patriots, ladies and gentlemen, the draft has officially begun, and this is where I think the conversation can start moving a little bit more. I think there's been a lot of momentum towards a fun name here recently, and I don't know if it's as prevalent, in public as it is just like in the draft circles. There's a lot of Ashton Jeanty undertones and undercurrent here at number 4 to the New England Patriots. Do we want to be so bold as to put him there today, Matthew?
So I mean, you can talk me into it, but like if we're trying to be accurate, I think you throw Will Campbell, tackle offensive lineman out of LSU in here and move on. But you can try to talk me into Jeanty here. I just think that Will Campbell's a New England guy. I think that's a Vrabel guy. That's a Patriots guy. If I've ever seen one, even though he's got, the lack of arm length that most people want out of a tackle.
Okay, so here's my argument for Ashton Jeanty. And Mike Vrabel is the new coach for the New England Patriots, and he had a lot of success in Tennessee. One of the things that he had when he had things rolling with the Titans is he had an elite running back in the backfield for him with Derrick Henry. So if you're trying to make a connection between Vrabel and a running back, I think there's a logic to be said, especially considering you've got a young quarterback. You're trying to find ways to support him as best you can. I could make a very easy argument that Ashton Jeanty, a true blue chip player, is going to be a wonderful investment for your young quarterback.
Okay, can I make my Todd McShay argument here? Which is one of the best podcasts going right now, is going to find Todd McShay's pod. You got to listen to it. It's just pure chaos. It's awesome. He would immediately turn this into a 28-minute rant about combo picks, and that's what we're about to do, minus the 28 minutes. If you're sitting here as the Pats, you pick in the second round and pick 38. So would you rather come away with this with Will Campbell and let's call it Quinshon Judkins or Travion Henderson? And that, or would you rather come to this with Ashton Genty and Charles Grant, Ariante Ursary to play tackle for you? Like, which two picks make you a better team? I just think there's a really good chance that New England could get a top end running back at the top of the second round. I think you got to figure out left tackles first. That's my theory on it. But like, if you feel strongly about Genty, we can put it out there for the world to see.
Do you think that Will Campbell is a tackle to the New England Patriots?
I think they would give him a chance. I think Vrabel and the Patriots, if we're definitely like calling Vrabel the Patriots way, the Bill Belichick way, I feel like they are one of the teams willing to do the weird outliery things and see if it works.
All right. We'll go Will Campbell.
Oh, that's right.
Pick 4.
Trust the betting markets.
Well, Ashton Genty is a sneaky little pick there. I'd keep an eye out on that one.
Maybe he's a sneaky little pick at number 5.
Do we want to just do that?
I think it's him or Teteroa McMillan. I know there's all the Mason Graham smoke and rumors going on out there. And if you want to throw bet down on that, because I think like I don't know why I'm just trying to throw a bunch of betting stuff in here right now. But Mason Graham, I think's like odds are dropping quite a bit right now. So I think Genty or McMillan, like T-Mac, is going to be the pick for the Jags. I would say Genty because I'm not sold on T-Mac as a top 5 pick. So.
If we're going to give a skill player to the Jacksonville Jaguars here, it's Ashton Genty for me at pick number 5 over Ted.
All the way in.
So we're going Ashton Genty, pick number 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're doing it. We're pulling the trigger. And you know, I think that's a sneaky target. Like if the Jags want to try to move back, maybe that's an opportunity for like a Chicago to come up ahead of the Las Vegas Raiders, who are rumored to be very well connected to Ashton Genty as well. They sit here at pick number 6. Where do we think they go if this situation arises for them? Because I think this is a tough spot for them too.
Think so. I think they go D-line. Well, so here's the thing, right? Colton Miller's like threatening to hold out for a new contract, and they have to decide, are they going to pay him or do they need to draft a tackle? So like that would make Mimbo interesting here. But I think that they get something done with Colton Miller if they figure that out. I think they go defensive line. So then I will leave it up to you. Mason Graham, the interior player to play next to Christian Wilkins, probably a similar skill set, but like they could definitely play next to each other. And I don't have this player this high, but apparently the NFL loves him. Jalen Walker, the speedy edge rusher out of Georgia.
Oh boy, howdy.
Or you can sell me on something else. If you feel strongly about something else, by all means. It's just I feel like they're probably they got to help that defensive line out a little bit here.
Well, we're gonna move things along. I'm gonna pick Mason Graham. I think he's the best player available. I think he's a very good player. We're just gonna keep investing in the defensive line for the Las Vegas Raiders at pick number 6. So that means the New York Jets are on the board. Are we? I think it's Armand Membu. I think continuing to invest in the offensive line there. And I think this one makes a lot of sense at pick number 7 for the New York Jets is the local KC kid, Armand Membu.
Yeah, I'm down. I like it. I like that pick. We can probably roll you put him across from Fashano that they took last year to be their starting left tackle. Cool. You get this thing working. You
got Elijah Vera-Tuckle, Joe Tittman. Like that's a nice offensive line right there.
It is. There's been a lot of buzz for Tyler Warren to the Jets. So just, keep that one in the back of your mind. I don't know who's the offensive coordinator in New York right now for the Jets. Do you know off the top of your head?
I know off the top of my head 100%, and that name
I figured you would.
And
you know all about
it's Tanner Engstrand, duh.
Okay. Well, I don't know if Tanner Engstrand is ready to I think Tyler Warren's a little bit more of a designer tight end than people want to give him credit for. Like I don't think you just line him up at tight end and say go play. So I don't know if I love Warren's fit with the Jets. I kind of feel like you got to cater what he does a little bit. And so that's just not my favorite fit for him. So I like this pick a little bit better, but I just know there's a lot of Warren hype going to this spot.
Yep, there is. And I've seen it, but I've seen some Membu hype there too. So I think I like that one as well. Carolina Panthers. I think this is, a rumored trade back opportunity for some teams that are wanting to do that. You got the Saints here. Maybe someone wanting to come up for Shador potentially. Maybe someone wanting to address the running back position. If you want to get out ahead of that a little bit. What do we think?
If someone has strong feelings about Teteroa McMillan and they want to get up here and get it, I could see it being an interesting spot. Here's the thing, though. I think the Carolina Panthers would trade out of this pick if Jalen Walker wasn't there. with Jalen Walker being there, I
Mhm.
think that's I think that's one of those matches that if he's there, he's the pick. Could be entirely wrong, but the vibes I got on the from the words out there is that if Jalen Walker's there, he is a Panther.
Let's make Jalen Walker a Panther then at pick number 8. Let's just
Yeah.
go ahead and roll with that one then.
No
Okay.
trades yet, but like it's hard to find the spot for some of these trades. I think Dallas moving up was a good spot. I think if we had Walker off the board, I think Dallas trying to move up to Carolina to make sure they get their guy would have made sense. Even Denver potentially trying to come up from further back. I think there's been some buzz about Denver wanting to get up. So like I think there was some options for like Carolina in particular. I just really think that Jalen Walker's the guy that I think they've had a lot of good visits with so far.
Well, and if you've watched our pal Matty Hamilton, and he
Mm-hmm.
produces Up and Adams, I think they had Dave Canales on there, and he started lighting up a little bit when they started talking started talking about Jalen Walker. So there is that. New Orleans Saints. What an interesting spot that this team is in right now. You've got quarterbacks at your disposal. You've seen the Shador hype. You've seen the Jackson Dart hype. Towards the New Orleans Saints here at pick number 9. I think both have been connected to them at this point. Do we think that they go quarterback here, or do we think that they might try to address the position later in the draft?
I don't think they go quarterback here. I think they try to get it later, whether that's moving back in or just seeing what's available in the second round. Sometimes when you have a new coaching staff, you don't got to rush into this. I understand that Derek Carr's shoulders very problematic right now, but I don't think the Saints feel like they have to rush into anything here. So there's no reason to panic pick a quarterback, and I just don't think that the NFL's that high on Shador this early. I got some interesting options. Do you go with more weapons for the quarterbacks that are available? Do you go with a Michael Williams who kind of, I mean, come on, tell me there's not a defensive end that seems more Saintsy than that. Right now, it's a different staff now, though. Like they have it. Braden Staley, I believe, is their defensive coordinator now. So maybe there's a little bit of a change to what they want. I don't know how that's going to play out. But like if you look at the past, all of the Saints, and it's still the same GM, all of the Saints edge rushers have looked just like Michael Williams. That's what they draft every single time. But I don't know where they want to go here. This one's a tricky spot.
I do. I think it's like, and that's why like trade back just makes sense. I think a best player available approach makes sense too. So like
Who wants up? Do you want to bring somebody up? Who wants up? Who wants to come get somebody? What are you trading up for in this class? Like this is what you're looking at. What are you trading up for? Are you trading up for? Do you think someone feels strongly enough Shador to trade up? I mean, the Steelers want to come up for Shador Sanders.
I see nobody that's worth like coming up for unless you're just absolutely smitten with somebody.
Even a small jump. Like, okay, so is there Chicago might take a tackle? Is there a tackle that you love a lot that you have to get ahead of them? Does somebody want ahead of Chicago for? I mean, I don't know. It's just like, what are you looking at here to trade up? I don't see anything that jumps out to me. Is the trick?
I don't either. And so I think the Saints are sitting here stuck, and they just have to make a pick. So you tell me, you want to just go Michael Williams?
I think it makes a lot of sense, right? I think it makes a lot of sense that he just fits what they look for. I think the NFL is going to like Michael Williams a lot.
Okay, Mike, and I think there's a lot of buzz that Michael Williams will go earlier than people are anticipating, and I think this is completely justifiable. This is a freakishly long, athletic built 20-year-old that's high character and has great football IQ. So like there's a lot to like there for Michael Williams going 9th to the New Orleans Saints. All right, Chicago Bears. There's some running back buzz that is non-Genty related to the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson is now the head coach in Chicago. Ben Johnson was a part of the staff that took Jahmyr Gibbs at pick 12, and people thought he was crazy, or people thought that coaching staff was crazy for doing it, and it's turned out swimmingly for them. There's a couple backs in this class that we probably all consider to be where Jahmyr Gibbs was about ranked when he was coming out, and where the consensus was on those, like a Travion Henderson and a Omarion Hampton. Do we want to try to look at running back at pick 10 here, or do you think that they would go just continue to invest in the trenches along the defensive line? What do they go grab? Just another offensive lineman. What did we think?
Yeah. So, John, a blank on their left tackle's name right now, but I think he's decent.
It's
But
Braxton
not
Jones. So your
there it is.
starting offensive line right now is Braxton Jones, Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson. They've all been paid or will
A
be
lot of
paid.
high paid interiors.
Yes, on the interior, and then Darnell Wright at right tackle.
It's I was gonna say like left tackle. I think is a potential option. I just don't know if anybody jumps out enough to be significantly better than Braxton Jones there, right? Or like at least like what you know about Braxton Jones, the top 10. I
Yep.
don't mind the Omarion Hampton aspect. I understand the running back thing with Ben Johnson. What about this though? What about getting a better version of Sam Laporta for a Ben Johnson who liked to use Sam Laporta? So now you can look at Tyler Warren. I'm a Colston Loveland guy. I think he's better. And I think if I'm going to call somebody a Sam Laporta, it's definitely Colston Loveland. It's not Tyler Warren. I think he's like a more complete tight end and a better, more versatile receiver. It's just like, is that an option do we think they could go with as well?
I would sell you on Tyler. I'm with you on like how I would stack these tight ends. I would just say like I could see Tyler Warren being some like I think Tyler Warren could be a guy that they could manufacture stuff for a little bit because like that's part of how they try to use him at Penn State. And so that's an easy button for your quarterback, young quarterback. That's like a safety blanket and like helps you, extend the call sheet without having to ask too much of them. I think I could sell you on Tyler Warren pretty quickly, I think, for the Bears specifically. So let's just do
That's
that.
fine.
And it sounds like
I'm down with that.
I think Tyler Warren, I think people think Warren's going to go before Loveland. So we're going to go pick 10, Tyler. We're going to go Tyler Warren at pick number 10. San Francisco 49ers. This one is also like just anything makes sense. Like you could tell me a lot of stuff and it would make sense to me. They just need to continue to stack good players, I think. What are you thinking here for San Francisco?
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't have a good read here. They did lose Charvarius Ward. I think the way that defense is played, especially with Saleh back in there now, this feels like the higher end for Will Johnson to me, but it sounds like his workout really wasn't that good. And like, I'm not saying that should scare off everybody, but maybe that's enough to cause some doubts here. But like Will Johnson would be on my short list. I could see Kelvin Banks honestly kind of fitting in here too, especially because as much outside zone and stuff like that they like to run, whether he is the eventual replacement for a Trent Williams or he's going to play on the interior because they did lose some interior guys until then, or just play like, you know what I mean? There's like a safety net there of him playing on the interior if he doesn't work out a tackle. So like, I think those two guys kind of stick out to me. Who sounds good to you?
I think it's the high end for Will Johnson, but like especially after they just lost Charvarius Ward, I think it makes some sense for them just to go and grab him.
Yeah.
I do think it's the high end for him though, but I don't know, man. And like I think if he gets healthy, like this 2023 tape was exceptional,
It was.
And so like
we've gone 10 picks with no trades. I mean, like, is there anything that jumps out about pick 11 that anybody would want to come up for?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Cause like you're looking Miami again, if you want to tackle here, it might not be terrible to jump Dallas and Miami, but like who's the next team down the list that really wants a tackle at this point in time? You know what I mean? Like it looks like you're trying to get a little bit farther in the 20s. Does somebody want to come up this far? So yeah, I say Will Johnson or Kelvin Banks. It just depends on, do you want to go at the corner or do you want to focus on the trenches here? I think you could sell me on either one.
We're gonna go Will Johnson here. Another playmaker that takes the ball away. And we're gonna give them Will Johnson. They just lost Charvarius Ward, so we're gonna give them Will Johnson. Pick number 12, I think, is Tetsuo McMillan, Dallas Cowboys. I think.
You think they definitely want him over Golden? I won't argue too much. Just do you think there's any choice in their mind about Golden versus T-Mac? Because it just seems like the world is split on who's wide receiver one of those two.
I think I'd still go Tet. And there's been some connection. There's been some buzz to Tet recently with the Cowboys. So we're gonna just go ahead and send that one in quickly. So pick number 12, Dallas Cowboys take wide receiver Tetsuo McMillan out of Arizona. Okay, pick 13, Miami Dolphins. I think
Banks, move on.
Interesting.
You need a left tackle because arms. Oh, they don't need, but like they don't need one. Tackle.
They have Patrick Paul. They have Patrick Paul, who played well for them last year. They have Austin Jackson at right tackle.
Not good. I think that if the Dolphins, I think the Dolphins will look at offensive tackle if they are sitting in the spot. I think that Kelvin Banks fit wise for them makes a lot of sense because where he struggles the most is in longer developing pass plays. And in Miami, you're not going to have many of those. It's all protected because it's all the goofy stuff that they have. You're not going to have him running up the arc. What you are going to be doing is getting him out in space as much as possible. And that's something he does really well. Now, if you to think that Miami won't be interested at all in an offensive tackle, then okay, then maybe we can, possibly consider that. It's just this is a team that never invests in their offensive line, and it's been an issue every single year. And then they just lost their best offensive lineman to retirement.
So I think they could address the interior if they wanted to. And I think that they are looking to trade Jalen Ramsey, and their cornerbacks outside of that are Storm Duck, Cam Smith, and Ethan Bonner.
Yeah, that's not great. Unfortunately, they just lost, like the next round one corner.
So, but do they go Jahdae Barron, who has some inside flex?
I don't think he's an outside corner. So I think this is early. His tape wasn't as good as Trent McDuffie to me, outside or in the slot. And Trent McDuffie, I know you can't directly compare it like that or anything like that, but like we're almost 10 picks ahead of where McDuffie went for a guy whose tape that I don't think was as good. And so like that would be a tough one. This is early for me for Jahdae Barron, but all
right, let's just send the safest pick in, and that's Kelvin Banks, the offensive lineman out of Texas. I'm fine with it. I'll roll with it.
I'll wear this one. If it's entirely wrong and they have no interest in offensive linemen.
It's not that they don't have no interest. I just could see like need value fitting up differently for them. Do they want to give Patrick Paul a legitimate chance to be their starting left tackle? That's all. Yeah. They have spent some undraft. They have spent in free agency a little bit along the interior though too. So I don't know. We'll see.
They pay Austin Jackson again. He's been 5 years in the league and he's not been good. I didn't know if they paid him or what's going on with him. Oh, anyway, sorry.
Yeah, he's still under contract there with them. So I think the 2025 season would be extended past his 5th-year option if I'm doing math correctly. So
yeah,
all right. Indianapolis Colts. I think this is the floor for Tyler Warren. By the way, I think this is where Tyler Warren would go at the latest.
Oh yeah,
would be my guesstimation here. Do we want to give them the second tight end on the board, or do we? Yes. All right.
I think you just make it quick. Give them Colson Loveland. Give them the better tight end. And just let it go. Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. Yeah, for everybody we've talked to with Indy, they big on the tight ends. They have some other guys that I'm not going to spoil everything for that, but there's some other guys they like that if the tight ends are gone. But the way I think it is, the tight ends are their options 1 and 2.
Tight end Colson Loveland out of Michigan to the Indianapolis Colts. All right, the Atlanta Falcons at pick 15. This could potentially
hate that we have no trades. I really do, but they're hard to find, right? No, they are hard to find at this point. And we've called out a couple spots that it would make sense. And without us, like, this beforehand, it's kind of tricky.
Well, I will say too, like, I think whatever trades we see, we're probably going to be like, man, you went up for that guy. You must really love him.
Yeah.
Like that's probably right. Like, I think it's hard to predict those trades because it is very scattershot because I don't think this is all kind of the same tier of players, right? This is all just like that same class of players. And so jockeying positions and giving up assets to secure players in a similar range just seems a little, different for us, but all these teams are going to love these guys differently for different reasons. And so you could see some movement there. Atlanta Falcons.
Can we just have Denver trade up with Atlanta? Just because I want to put a trade on the board. I think Denver's going to want to go get somebody, and Atlanta only has 5 picks in the draft. So, like, moving back a few spots.
All right, and it's going to be Omari and Hampton?
I think so. That or Matthew Golden. It's going to be an offensive weapon. They're coming up to get their offensive weapon of choice, whoever they like more.
All right, we'll get...
I'm fine with Hampton.
We're going to get some movement here. We are going to do this. So the Atlanta Falcons are going to be trading with the Denver Broncos. And, this seems about right. I feel like this. Yeah. I feel like this is about the range, and it really doesn't matter what we're giving up too much.
I don't think Atlanta's definitely not putting in a 2nd-round pick in there, buddy.
Yeah. We got to reset all this. Yeah.
Gotta reset it all. You got to click. Yeah.
I was just trying to make it work quickly. All right, so Atlanta
needs picks.
All right, there we go. All right, so we got Denver trading up with Atlanta, and Atlanta, we're gonna give them Omari and Hampton. I think personally,
Broncos to Hampton. Yeah, that's cool.
I think Hampton makes more sense for the Broncos. It seems like they want that kind of guy, so let's give them that. All right, the Arizona Cardinals on the clock here now. Jahdae Barron makes some sense for them.
He
Shamar
does.
Stewart makes some sense for them there.
He
Like,
does.
what do you think?
I as another team that I have absolutely no clue on. Do we think they're super set at their tackle spots? I know they signed Jonah Williams last year. If he's still under contract, would this be a sneaky spot to secure another offensive tackle that would take over for Jonah Williams, whether that's a Josh Simmons, a Josh Connerly? Shamar Stewart being paired across from Darius Alexander for the long term does make some sense. It's like type to type. They love these kind of like chess piece, move around different guys and do all these different versatile things. So Barron or Stewart would make sense in that situation.
I don't know. You pick.
Oh boy. Who's their other corners?
Their corners right now are you've got Sean Murphy, Bunting. You've got Max Melton and Garrett Williams.
Yeah, it's not great. I don't love a lot of. Oh, they brought in Josh Sweat. That's right. Not that they couldn't also go a defensive end again. Okay, yeah, let's go. Just go Jahdae Barron. It's still early for me. I honestly want to be very clear. Like, I don't love going Jahdae Barron this early, but I think that we need to get him off the board. And now we're at the midway point of this first round.
Yeah, and we're taking a break, and we'll be back with the second half of this draft right after this. Maybe
with the 31st pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select.
Let's go!
Xavier Worthy coming to the Chiefs in round 1 makes the absolute most sense one could imagine.
As soon as I saw the body type and the way he moves, I'm like, I've seen this too often. Like, I'm just moving away from it. That's why I'd prefer the guys like Xavier Worthy, because they're going to be open.
How can this team navigate the board to walk away with great value at wide receiver and at tackle?
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner impossible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Are you ready to win some real cash during the basketball playoffs? Well, check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition, and yeah, that includes Prize Picks. Hit all of your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6, plus even more cash if you outscore the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. New players get 50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Here's what you gotta do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offers. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Tuck is the read king, man. He is just so good at this. What a guy. Continuing on with our mock draft simulation here. We got the Cincinnati Bengals, Froggles, at pick 17. I think they go defensive line here. I think one of the edge rushers makes a ton of sense. They've got to start investing on the defensive side of the ball because it stinks. And they blamed Lou Anarumo for it, and they were wrong. And they just are a horribly run organization. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about them. That's not all I got to say about them. But edge rusher, Shamar Stewart or Mike Green?
Do we think they're fully out on like Derek Harmon or Walter Nolan here as well? I mean,
Walter Nolan would make some sense for them.
I'll tell you, spoiler, Walter Nolan's going to the Falcons if he's there. So, like, I'm fine with him going here. But, like, I think I would.
You think Walter Nolan's a lock to be a Falcon?
No, I'm just saying that I think between Cincy and Atlanta, or by Atlanta at this point, I just think Walter Nolan makes a lot of sense. That's all. Just what we're looking at here, I think Walter Nolan makes a lot of sense for them. Cincy, here's my read on Cincy. There's been a lot of weird buzz that they're going to draft Mike Green, that they like Mike Green, and he doesn't play it like, a Power 5 school, and they have like 2.5 scouts. So the fact that there's buzz about Mike Green, like, makes me feel like somebody caught them actually watching Marshall tape or going to a Marshall game or something, and they probably don't normally get there. I don't know. I think it's just like, how do you know that the Bengals are interested in a small school guy? They don't do that a ton. So Mike Green makes some sense there for me, for them. But so would one of the D tackles.
All right. So I think it's Nolan or Green that makes a ton of sense. So
they don't shy away from character stuff. So
they've got to try to get value gotta get value, somehow. I think Nolan's probably the superior talent. So let's just throw him in there right now.
Okay.
Let's do that. I think that makes sense. I think that's a good connection.
Atlanta's punching air now because they traded back under the assumption that I think they thought they could get Nolan later.
Okay.
That's just me in the mind of them right now. They're like, oh yeah, we can trade back and get Nolan.
I think Atlanta is going to be apt to do this regardless, because I think they're going to want to accumulate some assets. So they're one of the teams. Them and the Vikings, not a ton of capital this year. So I could see both of them being willing and comfortable moving back regardless. Okay, so Seattle Seahawks sitting here at pick 18. They're punching air that both tight ends are gone.
Yeah, they would like them. Okay. Do they want? I know they brought in Cup, and then they got JS in there. Would Matthew Golden make some sense because he can play on the outside? He's a Tyler Lockett S player. So like that kind of makes sense. Or I could see them going with Zabel, Greg Zabel on the interior, because their interior offensive line is terrible.
I think we go Golden here. I like that move a lot. I think that one just makes schematically makes some sense for them. I think it's a smart pick. So Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, pick 18 to the Seattle Seahawks. Pick 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jihad Campbell. I agree. The linebacker out of Alabama, that just feels like a very Buccaneers pick, and it does feel like there's some connection there between the Tampa Bay Bucks and Jihad Campbell. So we are going to go pick 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking linebacker Jihad Campbell. Pick 20, Atlanta Falcons back on the board, and like they could go get a Mike Green or a Shamar Stewart too. Like there's still some value there on the board at the edge position for them, and like I think this would make sense for them. Like just continue to invest in the trenches and keep generating pass rushers and try to find something that makes sense. I think by either of them make some sense here.
Yeah, how is Atlanta's current coaching staff with guys that have just some coaching staffs don't take guys that have off-field stuff, especially things that are between men and women issues. So, like, I don't know if they're one of those teams, but like, would Mike Green be entirely off the table for them? I don't know. Don't have intimate knowledge of their coaching staffs and GM's preferences. And Shamar Stewart the type that they go for too? Like, I just don't know. They're in a weird spot.
Their edge rushers are currently Leonard Floyd, Arnold Ebiketie, Braylon Trice, D'Angelo Malone.
So there are a lot of smaller speed guys, right? And like, is that just because they don't have another option, or is that what they want? Derek Harmon, again, does he make? I had said Walter Nolan before. Does Derek Harmon make some sense here? I don't think he's quite the pass rusher that Nolan is, but like he had a lot of good stats for that. All
right, let's do. We?
You can talk me into anything.
Do you think the Atlanta Falcons executed double trade back with somebody trying to come back up for the quarterback? Because there's been a Shedeur Sanders to Pittsburgh connection the last couple of weeks as well. So do we think some teams trying to get out ahead of Pittsburgh to secure the services of Shedeur Sanders?
Do I think that a team is going to trade up from the second round to pick 20 and the cost that it takes to draft Shedeur Sanders? No. If we think that we just kind of want to get him going though off the board because it's a quarterback at this point, then yeah, I mean, we could. I don't know. Sneaky suspicion is the NFL doesn't love this quarterback class.
The only thing I would say is if it was the New York Giants that are a Shador team, I don't think that they're going to care all that much to do that, because if this doesn't work, they're not here to make picks next year. So if they can sell John Mara on it and out of an act of desperation and taking Shador.
I don't even sell him. Can you sell Brian Daboll that Shador Sanders is going to help him save his job? If that's the case, then sure, do it. Like if we think that's a quarterback that Daboll would want to work with, then let's definitely do it. I think he's the deciding factor there. And it's just, I don't have a good read.
I mean, yeah, I don't have a good read either, but I do think that, especially if owners get involved, does it matter?
Okay. Why the Giants and not Cleveland coming back up to pair Shador with Travis Hunter?
I think the more likely candidate, in my opinion, is the New York Giants doing this. Personally, I just think the more likely candidate of this. Are you comfortable executing a trade for a quarterback here, or do we want to try to wait a little bit
that's
longer?
fine. We can make it work. We can make it work. My last question is, does Atlanta feel like they're going to get a good edge rusher at that spot that they're trading back to, or a good pass rusher? Because they have no pass rush. Like are they now trading out of the getting impactful draft pass rushers?
So I think they could potentially get a James Pierce who would make sense for them. They could get a Donovan Ezra who would make some sense for them early too. They could get. I mean, I think there's some guys that actually could make some sense for them.
Yeah,
and
if
one of those guys goes off, they could come back in. Like they could just maneuver the board a little bit up and down a little bit more here easily. So, I feel good about it. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna have the New York Giants trade up with the Atlanta Falcons. They are going to give up pick 365. That's it doesn't really matter because we're only doing a round one mock. The trade got accepted.
It feels like it would be more though.
Yeah, I agree. But we're going to execute this trade. And Shador Sanders is going to be
maybe. Oh, see, look, even the machine says, Atlanta's not making this trade back.
You know what? The machine's not working, so we're gonna just take Mike Green.
Take Mike Green. Yeah, I think he's a better passer. He's better. You drop him in day one, and he makes an impact.
Do you think Pittsburgh takes? All right, that's fine. Mike Green to the Atlanta Falcons.
No,
the trade machine didn't work.
I don't think Pittsburgh takes him.
You don't think Pittsburgh's taking Shador?
I don't, because if they do, that completely tanks the Aaron Rodgers thing, and they've done way too much flirting to just say Shador is going to stop us from having Aaron Rodgers at this point. Like it's just. But
does Shador keep them from that, or does Shador get a year to?
I don't think Aaron Rodgers comes if Shador's there. I don't think Aaron's going there because now maybe they just say, "Hey, we're Pittsburgh. We're going to do our own thing." And it sounds like Tomlin might like Shador Sanders. But like, I'm looking at that team. Does Shador Sanders seem like the kind of quarterback that you really want, just like throwing those deep shots to Pickens and DK all game? That's not.
I've never thought he made sense as a Pittsburgh Steeler as far as like play style. It's just the connection is interesting. Sure. Outside of that, if that's not the case, who do we think the Pittsburgh Steelers are taking?
Oof, what do the Steelers do in these situations, right? Like, don't they just usually just draft somebody in the trenches on the offensive or defensive side, right? Like that's kind of what they do.
They just lost.
Broderick Jones
has
stunk. Yep. Has absolutely stunk. They got some success on the interior, so it's probably more if they go offense. It's obviously a tackle. They're getting a little bit up there. I think Cam Hayward's a little bit older. TJ Watt's not quite as dominant as he was, but they still got Highsmith. It kind of seems like a sneaky tackle spot.
I think so too. Do we think Josh Simmons is the pick? Because I could see it being Josh Simmons. I could see Josh Simmons very easily being like that. The Josh Simmons dream being spoiled at pick 21.
Yeah, because Broderick Jones, while stinky, can play. Like you could start him. There's no rush to get Simmons being injured out there, so you take the guy that has the higher ceiling. I could see that. That seems like a move that the Steelers would kind of make. They get a guy of a good value that's falling down a little bit that gives them an answer.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I think this is the right move for them. I think this makes sense. It's going to be Josh
Derek
Simmons.
Harmon playing next to Cameron Hayward and Keanu Benton would have been kind of nasty, though.
It would be kind of nasty. Derek Harmon as a Los Angeles Charger would also be kind of nasty, too.
Yeah. For the Michigan thing, I really want to almost give them
Kenneth Grant. Yep.
But Derek Harmon's just clearly a better player, but you don't know what Harbaugh's going to do. Just is Grant one of those guys that Harbaugh just absolutely loved and he would probably take him? You know what I mean? So like
I think he'd take Grant
one
over
of those
Harmon.
two.
I do. I think he'd take Grant over Harmon.
No, do that. It
Kenneth
doesn't matter
Grant-
because I'm going to pound the table for Harmon to the very next pick. So
Okay. Kenneth Grant to the Los Angeles Chargers, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, going pick 22, the Los Angeles Chargers. And then at pick 23, I don't even have to sell me hard. Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon, going to the Green Bay Packers. Now, Shamar Stewart has been in on a visit with the Packers.
It's one of those two. I mean, it's one of those two. I think Harmon's a little bit safer, and not that that's necessarily a Green Bay thing. I just think that
they've taken a lot of swings on Shamar Stewart-ish type players recently.
And they haven't been rolling out as well yet. So I think Derek Harmon's more Kenny Clark than Shamar Stewart might be more, like Rashawn Gary. And I think Packers fans and probably that front office would tell you they probably would rather have another Kenny Clark at this point in time than Rashawn Gary.
Derek Harmon's pick 23 to the Green Bay Packers. Okay, Minnesota Vikings are trading back.
Now you can have somebody come get Shador. Here you go. Okay,
who do you want to come?
I think Cleveland makes more sense for Shador than the Giants do, but I'm fine with the Giants if you want it to be the Giants. I'm not going to argue about which team.
We'll go Cleveland.
Okay, or does Kansas City get in this bidding war against Minnesota to come up for anybody?
No, because I think the tackle that they might be wanting is gone with Josh Simmons. So I
don't
don't
think they would want to trade up for Josh Connerly.
I don't think so. I really don't. It doesn't feel like it. Just like what we've talked about, like I just doesn't feel like he makes as much sense as like a Josh Simmons would. I'm gonna see if this trade will go through, and I'm fine going Cleveland. That's fine. It's not working.
Okay, so hear me out. Just give Shador to the Vikings, and we made the trade here. Or you can try changing the teams entirely, but
no. With the 24th pick, the Minnesota Vikings, actually, the Cleveland Browns are taking Shador.
There you go.
Sanders in a trade up.
As a screenshot later.
Oh, I can't wait. Houston Texans pick 25. Offensive line, any offensive lineman makes sense. I know Daniel Jeremiah said the law offices of Banks and Booker are the options here for the Houston Texans. I think Booker makes a ton of sense for them along the interior. That's one of their weaker spots. You're talking about changing and resetting the culture of your offensive line. Booker's the guy that does that because he was one of the big leaders at Bama, still young. I know that the athletic testing wasn't great for him. I think Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama, is the pick for the Houston Texans in this scenario.
Okie doke.
Moving on. I think that's easy enough. All right. Los Angeles Rams, a complete wild card here. They are all over the map, and you never have a good beat on what they're doing because things stay pretty close to the vest there, and they're not as active at some of these circuits and stuff. So what do we think about the Los Angeles Rams? What do we think that makes sense for them? Do you think this is just a Shamar Stewart, best player available, grab an edge rusher, or what do we think?
Boy, I go a lot of different ways here. We haven't really had any corners come off the board, so I could see this being a sneaky like Maxwell Harrison spot. The Rams don't really have a ton of types in different spots, so I could see him here. I could also see this being a Josh Connerly spot. Rob Havenstein's getting older. I know they paid Alaric Jackson to be their left tackle. Havenstein's getting older. He's not a good at right tackle. They might want to keep that offensive line rolling, so I could see Connerly being an option here for them. They don't have a ton of picks, so they could trade back. So like they could go a lot of different ways at this point in time.
Pick. Move on.
Pick. They're a wild card team, man. They tried to trade all the way up for Brock Bowers, and then they ended up trading up for Braden Fisk and Jared Verse last year. It's like I don't know what their route is. Bringing in Devontae Adams lets me know they're trying to win right now, so maybe they're not thinking about Connerly in the future or anything like that. That's my immediate thought.
Would they just take Malachi Starks? Because they don't.
I don't think so. I don't think that they are a team that would go safety in round one. I think it's Harrison or Connerly. I think Connerly's the smarter pick. I just don't know if they are thinking anything beyond this year right now. I don't know. But I think Connerly's the better pick. Harrison is the we need to win right now. So let's get somebody to replace whoever we're out there.
Okay.
Quentin Lake.
We're gonna give him Maxwell Harrison. I like that. I think if you're arguing a framework for how they're making decisions, I think there was the talk of trading Matthew Stafford. They're going all in to try to win with Matthew Stafford while they still have him. So give me Maxwell Hairston. That's more of a win now move. Baltimore Ravens, pick 27. Interesting.
Yeah, those first three names right there on the simulator: Shamar Stewart out of A&M, Malachi Starks out of Georgia, and Nick Emenwari out of South Carolina. All sound very Ravensy here.
Yep.
I know that a lot of Ravens fans want some interior offensive line help. I don't think Zabel's their type of offensive line, especially next to Linderbaum. I don't think they would have two guys that aren't necessarily power players on the interior.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like they're probably drafting from that first little pool.
So I would argue it's either Shamar Stewart, the defensive end out of A&M, or Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia.
Or are they a corner team? They lost Brandon Steve. Who'd they bring in at corner? Did they bring in somebody at corner?
Probably a guy that.
But I mean, they're a best player available team. It's one of those top three. I think Shamar Stewart makes a little bit of sense for them.
I think you're probably right too. I mean, yeah, you're probably right. They don't have great. They don't have
Shinobi Awuzie.
We're gonna go Shamar Stewart. We're gonna take a best player available. That makes some sense for them.
Hey, look, have you already clicked it and it hasn't updated yet? Okay, no. This is my only thought for you. Kyle Hamilton was in the box or in the slot. They moved him around a lot last year until they realized they had nobody else that could cover deep. Now they got better when they moved Hamilton off, to the deep safety spot, but do they want to keep him there? Or do they want to move him around again? If they want to move him around again, maybe bring it in Malachi Starks would allow Kyle Hamilton move around a little bit more. That's my only offer against the Shamar Stewart thing is like, this is more of a Kyle Hamilton pick.
All right. I'm gonna argue. I'll go Starks. I think you're right, and I think like they won't care about the athletic testing as much. And like Hamilton, they took him when he fell, and Starks, like I think this is value here when they're taking him. I think Shamar Stewart is too, but you're taking value and you're taking production, and you are helping diversify your secondary with two high instinct players with two different skill sets that actually play with each other tremendously well. Send it, Starks to Baltimore, the safety out of Georgia. In this instance, I think Shamar Stewart is a Detroit Lion at pick 28, though.
Probably.
I'm going to just send it in right now. I think Shamar Stewart is the pick at 28 for the Detroit Lions. So, Washington Commanders. Do we think a team comes into the first round here at some point trying to secure Jackson Dart services? Do we think that this is where the territory starts for a trade back for some of these teams and maybe accumulating some picks from the New Orleans Saints? Or I mean, maybe honestly, maybe at this point, because there's two quarterbacks off the board, the Saints don't feel threatened enough that they need to do that. So maybe they think maybe they don't. So maybe the Washington Commanders are just making the pick here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Commanders would like to trade back. I don't know if anybody's trading up for what's available.
Right.
Again, I don't know if I don't know if there's anybody left that people want to come up for.
So I'm with you.
Well, so we did leave Connerly on the board. If a team did want to tackle, whether that was the Chiefs wanted to just make sure they got their pick, or another team really wanted to tackle, I think Josh Connerly goes off the board before this. And now this mock draft, I mean, I only got to his name when we were like the Rams or something like that. So it's not like there was obvious spots. It's just, I think the NFL is going to like him a little bit more. I think they're going to sit here and say, wow, this offensive tackle class kind of stinks. He is the last quote unquote guy available that makes a lot of sense. So if there was a trade up, I think it would be for him from whatever team it would be. But I mean, Washington can stick and pick from here as well. That's not going to cause me any.
Yeah, we'll just have them sticking and picking because the trade simulator is not working. So that's more things to hold on to.
Trades.
Phone stopped working in Green Bay. Too much traffic.
Yeah. Is it a Trey Amos team? Would they like Trey Amos out of Ole Miss here at corner? I know he just seems like for a lack of a better word, a safe corner that can do a little bit of everything. Or would they like to get more pass rush? And who would be their type of pass rusher that they would want to go with? I don't. Is Dan Quinn okay with guys that don't play the? Yeah, I guess he's okay with that type. Right? Like he doesn't need everybody to play the run. He's okay with the rusher archetype.
Okay. I think Donovan Ezeraku is going around 1-2 somewhere.
Sure.
So we're going to send this one in. Donovan Ezeraku, Boston College defensive end, is going to the Washington Commanders. Now the Buffalo Bills. Do they want to trade up with the Kansas City Chiefs? Trade back with the Kansas City Chiefs. Who do you think they would go here? Who do you think Buffalo would go here? I think they're a corner. I think they're a corner team.
Yeah, and they Amos would make sense to them. They like the not particularly like fast guys that can play a lot of zone. So I think Amos makes a lot of sense here.
Okay.
I know some
Bills friends. I know some Bills fans really like Trey Amos. So
there was no interior defensive guys left, right? We got rid of Harmon. Yeah, I don't think he's around one guy. I don't think he puts enough pressure on the quarterback.
Okay. Well, I think
Amos.
I think we give Trey Amos, the cornerback out of Ole Miss, to the Buffalo Bills at pick 30.
I think so.
And I think that means, ladies and gentlemen, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, we kind of set this up pretty well for the Chiefs, unfortunately. No, it's possible. I don't mean very clear. It's very possible. If you would have asked me a month ago if Josh Connerly would be available for the Chiefs, my easy answer would be yes, 10 out of 10. Not 10 out of 10 times, but I would have been yes. I just think there's been way too much buzz about the NFL maybe being higher on him lately that he's one of those guys. And I think the tackle class in general might go off the board a little faster than we do. But
I think there's entirely a chance that that's the case. But I think when you're going through, it's the places that we could have snuck this in are the Rams, right? Like the Rams could have maybe gone tackle. Houston could have, but it seems like the buzz is more.
There's been some rumblings out of Green Bay that they would be looking for a tackle, and because that's not Jordan Morgan, so it's another possibility. Mm-hmm. We gave Pittsburgh one, right? So I'm we kind of knocked that one out.
I get what you're saying, but at the same
time,
a
possibility. No, you're right. There's not quite as many obvious as you think when you're looking back through it. It's just this. Yeah. They feel like a position that gets overdrafted, but I feel like we did a decent job at least bringing it up.
Yep.
And then I'm reading the chats. Yeah. In the chat, please tell us who you want the Chiefs to take. We'll go through a couple of them. We'll go a little bit. There's only 2 picks left, so you can tell us who you would like the Chiefs to take. Are we gonna take anybody besides Josh Connerly?
Well, let's have some conversation here. Josh Connerly, the offensive tackle out of Oregon, is a logical player here. I think. When you're looking at him, do the Chiefs think Donovan Jackson, the Ohio State offensive lineman, is a tackle for them with the requisite arm? These are actually Josh Connerly and Donovan Jackson are actually 2 of the guys that have the long arm length to be desirable for what the Chiefs have historically preferred at the tackle position, believe it or not, which is great for them in that regard.
We got a lot of people in the chat too, so I want to run through all the people in the chat as well. Donovan Jackson. I think he can play tackle. I think he kind of looks like the kind of tackles that the Chiefs typically like. Mm-hmm. I think the longer we've gone, though, I think Josh Connerly is a safer tackle play in the NFL than Donovan Jackson is. And he's got a higher upside. So I just think if you're talking about just a tackle without even entertaining the fact that what they do as an interior offensive lineman, I think Connerly's probably just a better prospect.
I think you're right. What are some of the things that the chat are saying?
Oh, we got a lot of them. Okay, we got a lot of BPAs and Nick Emanwari. I'm just not that high on him. I don't think he plays safety well. I don't think he plays safety well at all. So he just doesn't do it for me. I don't think the Chiefs would be overly in on him either. I don't think he's the type of safety that Spags likes. He doesn't seem like he is a guy that processes things super quick, sees everything that's happening. So I don't know if you have a different take on him, but I just don't think that he's a Spags type safety at all.
Oh, I'm lockstep with you. And I even rewatched him recently. Emanwari's fun because he's got an incredible athletic profile, literally the best safety athletic profile ever. And he's got some explosive plays, and he's a guy that can score points on the defensive side of the ball and has made some plays, some game-changing plays on the defensive side of the ball. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't think he's I don't know what he is as a safety entirely. I don't know exactly what, you're getting out of him as far as is he a box player? Is he a, deep player? He has some fun moments where he's covering from the slot and I really like it, but it's going to be a hard sell for me if Nick Emanwari is the pick for the Chiefs at pick 31. Any other names thrown out there?
Yeah, we're going a little bit quicker through the rest. We got a Luther Burden. What do you think about Luther Burden in this spot?
I mean, I've advocated for him in the past, and like if there's one team that I think could figure out how to make a group of guys that like to play from the slot, maybe need more Z options than most, Z and F type, opportunities. Like if they can try to make 3 work, Burden's, I think the Chiefs are one of the teams that could actually do it. And I think Burden would have to play some X, and Rashee Rice would have to play some X, and Xavier Worthy would probably have to play a little X, and you'd have to just kind of work through all that together. But it does open up the vertical stuff a little bit more for Xavier Worthy there.
I thought it was hilarious that teams had to ask Missouri for the practice film to see him run real routes, and then they sent a bunch of clips of option routes. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a couple James Pierces, and there's a Tyreek Williams in here. We got a couple. James Pierce is like the most anti-Steve Spagnuolo defensive end, I think, in this class. He doesn't really want to play the run, and his pass rush moves is just all speed and get off. There's not even a lot of it. Like, he's so D Ford coded, and I don't think Spags had any interest in D Ford whatsoever. That it's a hard fit for me. There was also a Tyreek Williams in there, and I think if Josh Connerly was off the board, I think you could make a case for Tyreek Williams here as just like, hey, this kind of board didn't fall great. Maybe you get a safe defensive tackle that maybe gives you a little pass rush over time, can play the run well. It's like, I could see a case for Tyreek Williams. I wouldn't love it, but I can see the case at least for him. Let's see. We got an Egbuka in here. I don't want to make you repeat yourself about the same thing that you just said with Luther Burden. But there was some Egbuka stuff that was coming in as well. I think that might be it. That might be then we got the last one. People want to talk about TreVeyon Henderson. So I'll let you talk about TreVeyon Henderson a little bit about TreVeyon Henderson for the Chiefs here.
TreVeyon Henderson's awesome. And there's a lot of boxes that he checks. If you're talking about trying to generate some explosive plays from the running back position, TreVeyon Henderson is a guy that absolutely can do that. And I think he can do it at the next level. He is a high character kid. He is a high character football player. He plays with tremendous football character. He is one of the best pass protectors in this class, despite not being the biggest. He has some ability catching the ball out of the backfield, and he creates a dynamic element that this team could certainly use in the running back room. However, is that the biggest problem? And do the Chiefs just try to get out ahead of the left tackle situation and keep trying to invest until they finally find a solution here? I think they would lean to Josh Connerly over a TreVeyon Henderson if the board fell that way. So I think we all know the pick here, right, Matthew?
Yeah, it is. And I'm just going to give the quick elevator talk because I know a lot of people don't love Josh Connerly here, judging by the chat. Guys, here's the thing. Josh Connerly is probably the most fluid moving of all these offensive tackles, right? You watch his feet. It's the most fluid. It's the most it's quick. It's not like Kingsley last year where he was straining to get to his spots, but he could get there and it looked really nice. This looks very controlled. It's controlled. It's fluid. He got better as the year went on. You can watch him versus the best competition down the stretch. He was giving up almost no pressure. There is still room to grow. And when you tell me an offensive tackle's biggest thing he needs to grow on is this 21-year-old needs to get a little bit stronger, there's probably plenty of room for growth there. So I think you got to just really buy in on the fact that Connerly's footwork is pretty good. His hand technique is pretty good, and he has the athleticism to maximize it. He's not really out of position in the same way Kingsley was, or in the same way Joe Tooney was, or in the same way Wanya Morris is. He doesn't play like that. He is always in good position. And so I think that's a big difference between him and the rest of these guys. I will be very surprised if he is on the board at pick 31 though. So if you don't want him, then you probably will have a pretty good time on Thursday if he's not for you.
Yeah. And I think just looking at it, how the board, it's probably the Rams taking Josh Connerly, and then Malik Hairston's doesn't go, it's something like that. And then honestly, I think that's the scenario is Connerly at 26 or the Bears taking a tackle, taking Simmons or Connerly at pick 10 instead of Tyler Warren. That's an option right there too. The Cardinals, maybe taking a tackle instead of Jahdae Barron. There's an option there too, right? So it just, there's a couple places that I think the board could have swung differently, but I don't think there's I think you're right. Connerly is probably not on the board when the Chiefs pick, but who knows?
Yeah.
James Pierce is the pick at pick 32 for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mason Taylor would be my vote, but yeah, we're cool with this.
I'm doing it. I don't even care. I don't care what the Eagles do. I don't even want to think about the Philadelphia Eagles. But that is going to do it for the round 1 mock for the KC Laboratory. We've done it, folks. We made through.
Hit save so we can just show everybody the whole thing at once for a second. Like they can get a screenshot, and then Tucker can have to like put Cleveland Browns over the Vikings pick.
Okay, we'll do that if it saves. If it even saves,
it might just be broken. You might not get a whole screenshot of this mock. This is even better.
But we will.
Oh my god, we're so good at this.
Yeah, we did great, y'all. I'm really proud of y'all. But yeah, no, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens on Thursday. We have a special time on Wednesday that we will be going. So if you want to tune in live, we're gonna be live at 6:30 on Wednesday. So we will be since 6:30 Central Standard Time. Not sure if that's gonna be a matter day. I don't think it will be because it was already going to be tight if we were at our regular time.
Yeah, probably no matter day.
So probably no matter day would be my guess. But that was our round 1 mock exercise. Chiefs end up with Josh Connerly at pick 31. And boy, it would have taken a lot to go up and get Josh Simmons. That's going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
What a wild draft.